Hi, welcome to the Elle Russ Show, where I deliver content intended to inspire, educate, and motivate. Engage with me online at elleruss.com and on social media. Enjoy the show.
Hey, Diane, great to speak with you again.
Hey, Elle, it is so great to be with you again. Thanks for having me.
I always love talking to people who are helping people create their own reality and getting into the manifestation and positive thinking and looking at language and how we are intentionally creating our future and our now. And you have a new book out, A Better Today. And we're going to talk about some of the tips that you offer towards manifestation, where a lot of people get tripped up. And we were talking before we got on here, and language is a big thing. But before we get into that, let's tell everyone, how'd you get here? Give us the brief rundown again for people that didn't hear maybe the episode on the Primal Blueprint podcast with you a while back.
Oh, thank you. All right, I'll try and run through this quickly, and I'll kind of tell it in three parts, and it'll all sort of tie together. So my background was in corporate. I worked in advertising and television sales for 32 years. I was living in LA and worked in the ad business on a variety of different accounts, and predominantly in media. I started out in account work and then moved to media and spent a lot of time working on television. And then I moved to Chicago to get married, and I switched to television sales and spent 24 years doing that. And the last 20, I was with Disney ABC. And that was a great career for me. I learned a lot about business and client relations and sales and marketing and all kinds of things. It was a great career until it wasn't, and hit that point where, am I really happy here doing this anymore? So that was sort of going on. That's one leg. The second leg is when I was living in Chicago, I was married. I was raising my twins. I have a son and a daughter. And I was living what the outside world would consider this have-it-all life. And so I struggled in that marriage and relationship for a very long time. It fell apart pretty early, but I just kept hoping and pretending that it would get better. And it didn't. And
shocker.
What?
I'm like, shocker. The hoping and pretending didn't work.
What? And what ultimately happened, and I don't need to gloss over this, but it almost took me out, and I had a suicide attempt in June of 2011, and it wasn't premeditated or anything like that. I just hit a breaking point, and I had this God moment in the bathroom. The pills got knocked out of my hand, and a voice screamed in my ear, "You are not ending your life this way, Diane. You need to go get help and change your life." And I took that very, very seriously and took action the next day to start changing my life and looking within. And so while that was happening simultaneously, I had thought of this idea for a kitchen product. And I went through the process of developing it, patenting it and trademarking it and manufacturing it. And it ended up being this thing that just kind of sort of took off, and it won innovation awards, and it landed me on QVC, where we sold out in 6 minutes. And I went from concept to creation and learned, wow, I could really create something from nothing. If I could do this, what else can I do? So I sort of had all of this background and knowledge of things going on. And the path to my awakening from the suicide attempt and connecting all those dots, as Steve Jobs would say, got me to a point where I was really waking up to, what's my purpose? Why am I here? I'm way bigger than this physical body. And I became a sponge and a student of personal development and spiritual awakening. And I started, meditating and journaling, and all of my intuitive gifts really started lighting up. And I was getting so many downloads and guidance. And in June of 2013, I was still living in Chicago. My kids were still in high school. I woke up with a poem called I Have Today. And when I finished writing that poem, I just knew, I heard it, that this is way more than a poem. It's a movement. And I could see the brand right in front of me. I could see, speaking and writing books and TV hosting and, just all this stuff unfolding in front of me, which scared the crap out of me. But I said, okay, I'm just going to take it for what it is. And slowly and surely, things started to reveal itself to me. So fast forward 2 years later, a lot of things had happened in my life. My twins graduated high school, and I decided to leave my job at ABC and totally reinvent my life. And San Diego was calling me, and this new adventure was calling me. And I took a massive leap of faith and walked away from everything I knew to start over. And that was in 2015. So here we are now, and it's been this incredible journey, not without its bumps, believe me, lots of them, but so many miracles and magic. And I still, Elle, am a student of this every day. I study every day, and I learned that everything leading up to who I am today and the reinvention was a function of my own choices and responsibility. And I learned how I did this to my life, and I'm the one in the power to change it. And it started to pivot towards understanding the power of manifestation and the role that language plays in manifestation. So I just became more and more and more a student of that. And that sort of landed me where I am today.
The interesting thing about language is I think sometimes, sorry about that. I think sometimes people get confused. So for example, I was a sketch comedy writer. I still write comedy with writing partners. And, it's all funny. Like our vibration beneath whatever we're saying or joking around about is funny, right? So let's say we're even joking around about a physical comedy situation where someone gets hurt, but we're like, so some people would be like, oh, watch every single word. And I always try to impart on people, it's really your intention and vibration behind those words. There are certain words you just shouldn't do, but usually like the universe knows that you're joking, or and if you weren't, you really meant it. The universe knows that it's your vibration. And so I think sometimes it goes the other way too. You could put words down on a paper to manifest something, but if you're not generating the feeling, the vibes that go with it, not going to happen, right? So kind of, it's on both sides, but I think sometimes people are too careful, like, oh, I don't want to say that. And you're like, relax, you're just joking around, or, I've had a couple of friends say that to me, like, oh, don't say that. I'm like, I'm not worried about it. The universe knows exactly where I'm coming from. I'm not putting the negative like that out into the world. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. There's I don't know if you follow Abraham Hicks, but there's this funny thing that they say like, oh no, when you do that, like cancel, delete, like try and suck the words back after you say it. And no, we don't want to live like that. So paranoid. And yes, I totally believe that it's the vibration and the feeling behind what you're saying that is what really resonates with the universe. So I 100% agree. And it's in laughter. It's in fun. That's
right. Exactly. So which is the highest vibe. So yeah. So I know I've had to kind of like stop a few people and go, hey, look, don't worry about myself. I know the vibration. I'm like right now we're joking because that's comedy. We would never be able to laugh at anything right out there, any comedy ever. If we were like, oh, don't say it's joking. Right. So yeah, that's one of them. And then the other is, and maybe I'd love to hear your explanation and what you tell clients and people about this, because this is a common one. They don't understand the difference between, let's say, wanting a thing and then, like, for example, let's say you want something and then you see a contest for it. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to try to manifest winning a Triscuit. Now, I've done that before. It can work. But then it sometimes is limiting another way it could come in. And so sometimes people are often attaching the how, of course, is a big discussion. And really like some of the details, or it's almost like kind of sneaky. It's like they're trying to play the whole, like, let me see if I can get it, but you'll never believe in the magic if you're pushing the how to get. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I completely understand. I hear what you're saying. So you want something and you think you're seeing the path to it and you're putting your energy towards that path. And what you're doing is you're blocking the universe from bringing it to you in an infinite number of other ways.
Right.
So how do you have a desire for something and take action on it without attachment to it? That's really what you want. So you want what you want and then pay attention to the signs. So yes, let's just do this very generically. All right, I want to win $1 million, and that you see that the lottery is $1 million, and you're feeling really good when you're walking into the 7-Eleven and you say, I think I'm going to buy a lottery ticket. Now, don't be so focused and attached on that being the way it comes in. Do it because it feels good, but then say to the universe, I'm open to this or something greater. You bring it to the way that you see right and fit for my highest, greatest good, and, with harm to no one and nothing. And so taking an action towards the thing that you want when you see the sign, but not being so glued to it that you block all the other ways of it coming in. So, and again, it's about vibration and frequency. It really is just what you said, being in the laughter, being in the love, being in the joy, being in the light will bring you so many things from so many different avenues that, it makes my head spin sometimes. It's like, wow, I just said that. And here it is. It's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. And we're both so lucky to live in, two of the most beautiful places in the world, arguably, definitely on a list of top, 25, 50. And I feel like every time I walk outside and I'm in where I live, because I live in the mountains, it almost, it helps so much,
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk a little bit about environment, getting in the right vibes, because if you're living in an apartment in New York City, or you're somewhere in the middle of nowhere, there's no nature, it's not pretty, and you kind of want to, seep into some good vibes. I feel like nature is one of the best ways to do it. So if you can't access nature, what are some ways that you would suggest somebody could kind of sink into that vibe?
That's such a good question. I've never had that question before. But your environment the first environment is in your mind. It is. Mm-hmm. So if you are, a couple different ways you can do it. You've got to embrace where you are, know you're exactly where you're supposed to be in that moment, live in gratitude and appreciation for where you are and what you actually do have. Because if you're stuck in an apartment in New York City and your desire is to be in nature, please take a look at all the people who don't have the apartment and they're living on the streets, or they don't have they don't have clothing, they don't have food, they don't have shelters. Just find the place where you can be grateful for where you are. And then a beautiful thing to do is to go into a meditation where you're closing your eyes and you're bringing the experience to yourself. Because what you really are seeking is the feeling and the vibration of it. And so if you can connect with that and say to yourself, God, I can see it. I can see the beautiful trees in the forest, and I can smell it. I can hear the river running, and I can hear the birds chirping, and it's just beautiful. And I can just take it in with all my senses. You'll start to feel it first, and then just toss it up to the universe. If that's something that's really important to you, universe, bring that to me in the fastest, easiest, funnest way possible. And I always add with harm to no one and nothing, because I have manifested things and there's been crazy stuff that has happened because of it, because I forgot to add that line. So find a way to just connect. If you can't change it in your mind first. That's the first place you've got to do it. Change the environment in your mind.
What are some steps and tips with language that we need to look at? Let's get back into that. As far as what are some phrases and things, themes you hear where you're like, change that,
Oh my gosh, so many.
Yep.
I can tell talking to somebody for 1 to 2 to 3 minutes right away, where they're stuck, the way they're speaking, right? You get that. Just, well, I just did not just, but I did a couple of TikTok videos because I did a TV appearance on this show called The List, and I gave the top 3 words that you absolutely need to remove from your vocabulary because they are ruining your life. And they are worry, anxiety, and stress. Now, could you imagine not saying those? I know you could, Elle, but for some
Most people, yeah, those are great. Those are the perfect 3. Yeah.
Perfect 3 words. And worry is an emotion that 99.999% of the things that we worry about never even happen. But when you're putting energy into that, you're inviting it in. And then people go, see, I told you that would happen. Well, you attracted that. So you replace worry with wonder, and wonder that things are going to be okay. Be excited about the possibility. Know that all the magic is in the quantum and the mystical and the magical and the unknown. If it was in the predictable, then where would the magic be in life? You know, if we always knew what the outcome was going to be. So worry, and I'll share the next word in a second, is a word that you don't even never need to say that again. I'm so worried about this. I worry about that. And I can't tell you how many times I hear people saying it and saying it multiple times in a conversation. They just live in so much worry. So that's one of them. The second one was anxiety, and that is projected worry into the future, being afraid that something bad is going to happen to you, maybe because something bad happened in your past or it happened to other people. And instead, what if you lived in anticipation about what's coming, knowing that the universe really wants to deliver you everything that you want? It truly does, every single thing. And so when you're living in anxiety, and listen, I know this is easy for me to just gloss over and say, and there's issues and things behind it. There's a lot of paradigms and limiting beliefs living in the subconscious mind. But the key to what I'm sharing with you is creating the awareness. If you could just be aware, oh, this is coming up. Oh, I hear myself saying that. Oh, I hear myself thinking that. And just having the awareness, it'll start to change for you. You'll start to make the new habits. So replacing that anxiety with anticipation and really inviting the magic in. And then the last one is stress, because stress is usually that force. We're using assertion. We're overwhelmed. There's too much going on. We can't deal with it. And as you know, Elle, you know this, stress manifests into 95% of the diseases that we have, and the conditions comes from stress.
Yep.
And lands in the
and
body.
lack of sleep goes along with that usually.
Yes, so that's just one of the conditions of the many, many ones, right? So if you place your stress with surrender, and surrender is a term of strength, not weakness. Mm-hmm. When I feel
it's faith, it's a term of faith.
Yeah.
I don't mean religious faith. I mean faith in the universe, of course.
Faith in the universe.
Or religious faith, yeah.
So I'll just say, when I feel it, like, oh, I'm starting to feel like, oh my God, a lot's piling on. And I never, ever say that word. I just don't. I go, all right, I feel it. And I look up and I go, universe, I'm giving this to you. Take the things that I can't handle. I'm letting them go. I'm letting them go. And so that takes practice. It definitely does. But just having the awareness that those 3 words, imagine your life without having worry, anxiety, and stress. How different would it be if you had wonder, anticipation, and surrender instead? That's what you focused on. So that's just one of the many, many, many ways that I do it, is help people to reframe their language and what they're saying. They're saying it so automatically, you know, and even simple things like, oh, don't forget this, don't forget
instead
that.
Of remember, right? Yeah. Posing in the positive versus the negative. Yeah.
Right. Yes. So,
and also a don't forget thing too. It just seems, I guess what it is it can feel as the receiver as a, like, you don't take care of your shit. Like, like, I'm worried, like, you're not going to do, like, you know what I mean? Right. It could be interpreted that way versus just, hey, if you can remember to bring the thing, versus don't forget to bring it. Yeah. It's such a different vibe.
It is a totally different vibe because when you hear that, you're like, "Oh, do I ever forget?" Or
Yeah, you get defensive.
at one time, right?
You think I am an idiot? Yeah, what the fuck do you think? Yeah. It's funny. I want to talk about wonder for a second because this is really for me. Every time I've wanted something and then had the worry thought or the thought of like, yeah, but every time that happens, this happens, or like one of those, and then I go, well, you know what? Maybe not this time. Every single time I've done that, the thing that I wanted happened instantly. And it's because it's like, you know what? But maybe not. Maybe this time it's different. How about that? How about it's not going to be the same way every time? How about no, the opposite? Cancel that shit, right? And so, I love that because the wonder part is really also wondering, maybe there could be another way that I don't even know. There's possibilities out there. Has anything ever happened in my life that came in that was a surprise I didn't know? Oh yeah, everyone can say yes to that. So guess what? Maybe there's more, maybe, be open, so I love the wonder part so much. And I wish people would get more curious and be more in wonder because I think, I don't know, that's the state I love to be in. You know what I mean?
Me too. And Elle, it goes back to being children. We woke up every day and most of us, right, woke up every day and we were just excited, jumping out of bed, and we would go and do, the first fun thing, and then the next fun thing, and then the next fun thing, and the next fun thing. And, people are labeling these people with ADHD and all of these conditions because they can't stay focused. Guess what? We weren't supposed to. We were supposed to just follow that next impulse to do those things. So it just boggles my mind. And if we could get more childlike wonder and excitement and anticipation and playfulness back in our lives, there'd be a lot more happy people. There'd be a lot less suicide, a lot less depression, a lot less anxiety. And so I just, that's one of my wishes for the world, that we could reconnect to that. But that was just, programmed out of us and pushed out of us. And so all we have is today. That's my company says, and we're supposed to be going towards that next fun thing and that next fun thing.
Yeah. And, speaking of kids, like they are some of the best, like fearless improvisers, kids who do that because they just are so in the moment.
Yeah.
They're not planning ahead, which is the absolute no in that game when you're doing improv. And the kids are really almost best at it. They jump in full force, full play, kind of fearless about it, like they would be on the playground. They don't have the ego yet to be like, am I embarrassing myself? Or like, you know what I mean? And it's really cute, but it's really also because that game is played by literally being in the moment and carrying the story forward and being present. And they have that ability to do that in that world we're talking about getting back to. So I love that. Yeah, we need to be more kid-like. Tell us more about this book and what else we can shore up in our lives when it comes to language and or just manifestation, and how we're thinking about, propelling our goals and dreams into reality.
Yeah. Okay. I'm happy to. Well, the book is called A Better Today, and it's Improve Your Life in 30 Days with this fun, inspirational, motivational challenge. And I made it so super easy because people don't really like to read anymore and they don't have the attention span for it. But I'll tell you what it is. It is I made a 30-day video challenge a while back, and I transcribed it into this book because the feedback from it was so good. And I said, I need to turn this into a book. And this is another manifestation that wasn't on my radar. And I heard it from Spirit. They said, put the book in print. And so what it is about, it's one simple thing every day that you have to do, or get to do, I should say. It's an opportunity way more than it is a challenge. And it's simple things that you can do that start creating that awareness. So like day one, my challenge for you is ask yourself all day long, why does this day keep getting better and better? Why does this day keep getting better and better? And so I've heard back from so many people, they say it every day, and they say to me, Diane, my life is getting so much better and better. I say that every day. And I said, because this works. You're putting that energy out there in a way that's excitement and anticipation. And you're putting your order to the universe that you expect your day to get better and better. And it's so great. And it's fun other things, and laughter is a part of it. That is one day, and a lot of other things that are just so simple. And the way I designed the book is, again, it's one simple challenge every day. The challenges are about a page long to read, so they're super simple, super easy. And I recap to remember, because that's the part, Elle, that you notice, especially people who are into self-improvement, self-development, self-help, they're binge readers. They want to get their hands on everything. And not me, self-proclaimed, same way. But what I started to notice is how am I implementing this information into my life? So I recap to remember so that you can remember. So it becomes anchored into your subconscious. So say you're out somewhere and something is happening to you and you're not in your Zen zone of doing your work in the morning, you remember. It'll come as a trigger, and you'll start to replace those negative triggers and limiting beliefs with something positive. So, the feedback's been good. And my mission and hope and goal is that it just gets to everybody in the world who needs it and wants it. So,
and a great gift for people if you don't want to stun them with a whole, here's a psychology book written by someone about your issue. It's just a nice, here's a, wonderful, hey, have this around this coffee table. This is, keep this on hand, kind of, right? This is always referable. Even after the third day, you're going to repeat it. Maybe you flip through and do them out of the order in which you did them the first time. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So, or, do it with somebody. It's even more fun to do it that way. But yeah, so that's the book.
And having a manifestation buddy. It's always good when you're on the journey to be able to talk to someone about it. But also let's chat about that part of, sometimes this has to be a personal thing if the people around you aren't on board. And you don't need to create and instigate negative vibes towards your endeavors in the spiritual realm of any kind while you're in those endeavors. Why do that to yourself? Why do that to yourself? That would be, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. No, I totally.
You'd be like, hey, I'm going to be in the Olympics. Invite the person that murdered my father 10 years ago to be on the sidelines so that I could see him one of them. Right. Of course, no one would want that. You'll get triggered before some kind of situation. Don't put a potential negative, because people are going to project that negativity onto you, whether you like it or not, even though you're trying to be like, hey, look at what I found. I'm so excited. And I think that can be a downer at first for people that are at least new to it, because they kind of come across that. And you just move away from those. When you experience it, you just exit and just realize this is not a conversation I have with that person right now, because I need to focus on actually this part and the right vibes to manifest, and one day maybe they'll ask you, maybe they won't. I have friends who still to this day think some of the stuff I've manifested, they're still shaking their head, but they don't believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them do. It doesn't matter. It's my personal experience. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You're on your path and your journey, and you're following your destiny. And as you ascend and rise, of course, there are going to be people that fall out of your life. They're not going to like it. They're going to judge it, or they're going to have opinions about it because, number one, they don't believe in it, and or number two, they're not focused on those goals, and so they tend to put down what they can't do for themselves or believe in themselves. And it's an interesting journey, as we know, stepping into these roles that we are in and continue to grow in and be students of each experience in life. And you leave behind some people, and sometimes it's smooth, many times it's not, and it's hard and it's painful, but you have to. This is for everybody who's listening to this. If you got goals, dreams, and desires, you have got to go after them, and you've got to seek out and find and align with people who support you, who've either done what you want to do or are doing it and will lift you up. And you've got to understand that if there are relationships that are falling away from your life, that's intentional and it's meant to be. And that doesn't always mean that they're going to be out of your lives forever. Some of them, yes, but like, Elle, when you're on this journey and people are shaking their head and scratching their head going, what is she doing? And then you reach these milestones and they go, oh, I get it. I get it. Yeah. So there are those people who might judge you during it and then see you on the other side. There's some that might judge you all the way through. And then there's some who might not say anything, be quiet about it, and then eventually speak up and say, I didn't get it when you were doing it, but I get it now. Mm-hmm. And not to judge anybody, especially yourself, that you're on this path and you're figuring it all out and they're on theirs. So there is no judgment there. But by the same token, don't judge me because I'm doing what I need to do. I don't judge you. So please don't judge me. That's one of the greatest lessons I had to learn.
Yeah. And of course, as well, that goes with the person that's become positive. And then now you're judging the people that you've like risen above, let's say, in terms of vibration, and maybe they're still there. And that's all that's going to come across to them is that you're sort of being like, you're negative, you need to see this way. And like, sometimes that's going to backfire. And like you said, just live your life. And sometimes they do come around. And if not, that's okay, because you're killing it. One of the funny ways that this plays out, it's happened recently over the pandemic. I've been doing a ton of hiking and I live in the middle of the mountains and it's pretty remote. The trails I go on, some of them are completely secret, like really nobody even knows about them. And a lot of them are just no one's on them. So I have my hiking buddy and he's a little bit of a skeptic. And every time we're on a trail, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, what's that over there? That looks like that might be something. And he's always like, nah, I looked, it's not, and I'm like, you're always a skeptic. And then it always ends up being the most, and he's like, how are you finding all of these amazing trails? And it's become like a joke because he will always be like, yeah, there's nothing back there, or no, I looked. And then we always find something. Or there was a way where we couldn't get somewhere and we're in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, well, he's like, we should go back because we don't know if the rest of this trail is going to end up where we were. We should just go back. And then I'm like, well, hold on. And then right at that moment, some like 75-year-old French dude just hikes up and is like, oh, hey, follow me, go this way. And at the end of it, I'm like, a French Sherpa showed up, dude. Are you kidding me? Really? Okay. Trail skeptic. And it happens almost every time I venture into a new area with him. And we laugh about it. And it's funny that he hasn't figured it out by now, but it's just kind of this really hilarious thing. And he's always the skeptic. And me pushing through we've just honestly had some of the most blown away, beautiful, private, insane hikes through these mountains. And it was all me being like, well, I don't know, mate. I don't think, I'm the one that's like, I think there's something. Let's go check it out. So it's pretty funny. It's kind of happening to me, on a weekend basis. Yeah.
I love that the French Sherpa shows up.
Or one time a whole group of like hikers came out of nowhere. These they were all 75-year-old, I didn't know if they were touring in from Asia or they lived locally, but they were like serious with hiking poles and they were old. We were like, how are these old people? They're killing it. I mean, we're so excited about it. We're like, yes, go health. They're still doing it. And they also were like, hey, one of them came up to us. She goes, hey, did you know there's a trail on that other side of the ridge? Like just offered up a new trail that we thought we had already checked out and it was a no-go. And they were like, no, just follow the thing. I mean, I don't know, like in the middle of nowhere, by the way, these people. So at some point, my friend's like, I wonder, do these people actually exist? Or like, are they just being manifested out of thin air?
They're so being manifested out of air.
So funny.
That's amazing. Truly amazing.
Yeah. But so, no, but you gotta, and there's a way to have fun with it. And again, that's being curious and being like, hold on, let me take another look. Yeah. I have spoke with a spiritual coach who coaches spiritual coaches in business. And she was stuck in her dead end job, and curiosity, led her to take one of those tests online about like, what would you be good at in life? And she took it and it said like, you'd be good at a coach. And she's like, oh, I hate people. What? No, like I hate people. And then it led her to look into like, what's a coach? And then she looked into a coach and she looked at the description. And she's like, well, I'm doing that anyway with all my friends and whatever. Always been that person. And she just went down the rabbit hole. Again, curiosity led to a thing that led to a thing that led to now her, right? Living her best life, multi six-figure income generator, like, and all because she just was curious about, I wonder if there's something different.
I love it. I love it. How much better could your life be with more wonder in it? And sometimes I have just yes days. I'm going to say yes all day today. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to say yes. And oh my God, Elle, those are the most magical days.
Tell us about some of like good, happy, better days.
Well, I use the question, why does this day keep getting better and better, which is the first day of the book all the time. And how can it get any better than this? Like it's going so well, how much better can it get? And I think the universe loves that. So I've just had experience upon experience that have just been so magical. And it showed up in my life in different ways. This book was one of those things. And other things, let me talk about the clients that come in and the unexpected money. And so, so many things, the opportunities, there's like at this moment, there's just not a single day I can tell you, but I can tell you that they do come in day after day after day. And I'm like, wow, that is so incredible. But I'll tell you what happened to me. I went in November for just a routine pap smear and mammogram test. It had been a while since I had done that. And talking to my doctor, and she said, do you realize you have a cyst on your ovary? And I said, no. And she goes, you're not in pain? I said, no. And so she started poking around. I said, well, now I am. That hurts. And I said, well, how big is it? And she said, it's probably like the size of a peach. And I said, oh, okay. Completely calm. I didn't get upset with her. And she's kind of looking at me and she said, well, you're going to need to go have an ultrasound for this. So I said, great. All right. So it was November 4th. The earliest appointment I could get was December 1st. And I immediately went home and started sending love and energy to the cyst and asking it to thank you for showing up and reminding me who I am. And, but now it's time for you to go. I love you. I'm releasing you. This is sort of the thoughts. And I was sending energy from the top of my head and my third eye and pineal gland, commanders, send all the happy, healthy cells to that area. And of course, I went on December 1st and there was nothing there, and I've done that multiple times in my life. And I've done this, and not that I'm not proclaiming to be a healer. I'm just telling you the positive power of intention and language and thoughts. And it disappeared. And I've had that with a couple of things in my life. And I've seen it with my clients too, where that happens. But I had a client who came to me and she had a lot of shit going on in her life. She was very unhappy with her job. She had a boss who was two-faced to her and backstabbing her. She had moved away from her family to take this job. She wasn't dating anyone. There was a lot of things that she wanted. And I said, well, what do you want? And I know you know this. Here's the problem. Most people don't have the clarity around what they really want. They know what they don't want, and they know what they think they want, but they're not specific enough. And so I worked with her and drilled her down. And I said, no. What do you really want? Tell me the type of environment where you want to live. Tell me how much money you want to make. Tell me what it's like commuting to work. Tell me about where you live. Tell me the way you spend your weekends. Tell me about the guy that you date, and got really, really clear. And she had 9 things on this list when we were done. And I said, okay, there we go. And in under 90 days, it was probably about 65 or 70 days. Every one of those things was in her life, and her head spun. And she couldn't believe she got to got a massive severance package from where she worked. She got to work at a startup that she wanted to. She was highly respected and regarded. She was living in the city that she wanted to live. She was close to family again. Every single thing on the list was there. And I said, if you can do that in 90 days, imagine what else is possible for you. So the thing about manifesting is, it's in the visualizations, it's in the feeling, it's in all of those things. It's definitely in the language. But the key first is to figure out what the hell you want. What do you want? No limits, because the only limits that we have are the ones that we put on ourselves. And honestly, for me, one of the joys in what I do is pulling out and extracting what that is on a much bigger level, because people don't believe they can have it all. They don't believe they can be, do, and have anything, that they can create a life beyond their wildest dreams, and they can have the body, they can have the relationship, they can have the money, they can have the career. I love the story about your friend with coaching, how she didn't even realize she was doing it every day. And it was, one of her superpowers, and that she could build it so fast doing what she loves. And that's what manifesting is getting clear about what you want your life to look like and feel like, and don't put limits on it. Truly.
I love it. Aside from your podcast, tell us how we can work with you and benefit from you, and your personal advice, and with our lives, people out there who are like, you know what, I need to talk to Diane.
Okay. Well, the freebies out there besides the podcast are also my TV show, which you can, the easiest way to subscribe is on YouTube. I have Today with Diane Forster. It's also the same on my Facebook page. We do the show live every Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific. So if you want to comment or ask questions, because I do Mentor Me Minute, I coach people live on there, then go there. And then all my social media is Diane Forster Official. So follow me, because I'm everywhere and pretty active. So there's a lot of motivation and inspiration there. But if you want to do deeper work and you're ready to get really clear and get that clarity, focus, and direction, start manifesting faster, I have a program called the Rapid Mindset Shift. And that is on my website at dianeforster.com. And that is a really powerful program with in about 30 days, so much in your life will shift. You'll literally have a roadmap and know what to be saying and doing, because I'm going to give you a personalized mantra meditation. I'm going to fill in all the words for you, and all you have to do is listen to it. Plus, you get some private coaching with me one-on-one. So it's really valuable, and it's a game changer. It's changed a lot of people's lives. So that's if you're like, I'm ready. I'm not willing to do this any longer. I'm ready to change my life today. So
I love it.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you so much. And we'll put everything to connect with Diane in the show notes. And enjoy sunny California. Just down the road there, yonder.
Thank you. You know what, Elle? One of these days we have to meet. We will meet.
Yes, I know.
I come up to LA frequently. My family lives up there, and I would love to just see you in person and get together, because we vibe so well together. And I'm so happy for you, and congrats on this podcast. Thank you. Everything that you're doing in the world. Your work is so incredible, and I'm so grateful for you and everything that you do. And you ask, amazing questions and really put on a fantastic interview and podcast. So thank you so much.
And thank you all for listening out there, of course. And we will see you all next time.
Hey listeners, over the years, a ton of companies have approached me to collaborate, but I will only promote companies whose products I believe in and that I actually use and consume on a regular basis. So let me tell you about some of my favorite companies that I can offer you discounts for. Rep Provisions, an amazing company doing incredible things for our planet, topsoil, and animals with regenerative agriculture, and it's my #1 source for quality pasture-raised meat and chicken. Visit repprovisions.com and use code L15 for 15% off. I'm also obsessed with a company called Carnivore Crisps. They make a lean, all-natural, and delicious alternative to conventional snacking, made with just real meat and real salt. Totally addictive, and my favorite ones are the beef brisket and the ribeye. Visit carnivorecrisps.com and use code PALEO10 for 10% off. I also love and regularly use Paleo Valley products. They make amazing supplements and delicious paleo products. I use the superfood greens powder, grass-fed beef sticks, the organ complex, and their bone broth bars. I love the lemon and apple. I also use their essential C complex and more. Visit paleovalley.com/promos/Elle Russ for 15% off. I also love Primal Kitchen. They make delicious paleo-approved, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and no refined sugar products, and I use them daily, from their collagen powders and sauces and marinades to their avocado and olive oil. So good, so healthy. Visit primalkitchen.com and use code L10 for 10% off. I also love paleo powder and use it almost on everything I cook. They make incredible seasoning blends, and they also have these incredible grain-free coatings that feel just like crispy breadings that you would have had prior to knowing that there's another way. So visit paleopowder.com and use code L15 for 15% off.